Hello guys and welcome to Football Fandom UK. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Today we are here to have a video about Bolton, the club close to my heart. This is the club that I love and support. For you guys that are watching that are not Bolton fans, I want to reassure you that this changes absolutely nothing about the channel. Football Fandom UK is about the fans, and that's the way I intend it to go. But today I feel it's necessary to make a video about Bolton, and I would make this video even if I wasn't a Bolton fan. And if I learn of any other club in the situation that Bolton are in, I would do a video for them as well, because obviously, as I've said before, the channel is about you guys. It's about fans all coming together for the game that we love, to try and bring a more fan community, because obviously, in my opinion, I think that the fan community has been damaged in recent years, just through the amount of money being poured into the game, and obviously a lot of big businesses getting their piece of the pie, and basically the fans are the last in the pecking order, shall we say. So yeah guys, today we're going to talk about Bolton, and like I said, this is not because I'm a Bolton fan, this is because of the state of Bolton's situation. I thought it was absolutely imperative that I make a video about Bolton, and as I've said, even if I wasn't a Bolton fan, I would still do this video because it's an absolute calamity and a shame for what has happened with Bolton. But for you guys that are Bolton fans like me, there is a little bit of light on the horizon. I've heard today that apparently the new buyers are imminent with regards to actually taking over the club. So we could see the club come out of administration within the next few days to a week. Although, as most fans know, we don't have to just be a Bolton fan. And most fans know that these things can be said and not necessarily followed through with. So only time will tell. But let's hope that Bolton do get this buyer pushed through and we can actually start looking forward to the season, even though the state of the club at the minute doesn't, even if we get the buyers, is not looking good at all. And if you aren't a Bolton fan, I urge you to watch this video just simply to learn exactly how bad it can get for a club that is, basically run by bad owners, and where the FA, as far as I'm concerned, are guilty of negligence and complete, just incompetence. There's no other word for it. Incompetence. The FA are incompetent. We have just seen that Bolton have gone into administration a matter of months ago, due to the fact that they had an owner, which was a man called Ken Anderson, I believe his name was. He's not in charge of the club anymore. But he absolutely destroyed Bolton. Bolton was already in a mess as it was. But he came in and absolutely finished it off in a matter of about 2 years, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it was a very short period. And the reason I say that the FA are an absolute disgrace and guilty of negligence, because they allowed him to buy the club. And they have a stupid rule for all clubs that as long as an owner can prove he can fund the club for 18 months, he's allowed to buy it. Or she's allowed to buy it. So what kind of rule is that, guys? 18 months? So... Where did it come up with that figure, that 18 months? A person that finances a club has only got to be approved that they can finance it for 18 months. It's an absolute disgrace. That's not longevity, that's short-termism. And that's basically the FA passing the buck. Yeah, you fund it for 18 months, then we don't have to worry about it for 18 months until it becomes an issue again. And as we've seen, it has become an issue again, because they allowed an incompetent guy to buy the club. We're not going to go today into too much about the previous owner, because that is past history. The reason we're going to go today is because, as I've said, reports are coming out that buyer is imminent, and I just wanted to quickly go over the state of Bolton at the minute, and also to highlight some clubs and some fan groups that have been absolutely awesome to help Bolton out in their dire situation, their moment of need, whatever you want to call it. Some of the fan community have been absolutely brilliant. So we're going to highlight that very shortly, guys. But first, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the state of Bolton at the minute and how bad it is. The players came back to pre-season to find the training ground locked up, so they couldn't even train. And with the hot weather that we've been having recently, they didn't get even the simplest basics provided to them, which is water. We all need water, especially in hot weather like this. You know, what we've been having over the last few weeks. They wasn't even provided with water. So they could have gone to the local park and trained there. How can they train without water? And we can't expect the guys, the players to buy water when they get no wages. So, yet again, negligence from previous owners and also from the administrators, because it's an absolute disgrace that, their administrators to oversee what's happening with the club, and they can't even provide a simple thing like water. So yeah, that really, when I learnt that, guys, I was really irritated by that, and I'd be the same for any club, guys. If it was any club within England, Scotland or Wales, I would be absolutely devastated to hear that, because it's a basic necessity to life. And it's a basic requirement for professional footballers or any footballers, even young kids running about on a field, playing, having a kickabout. They need water. You cannot burn energy without water. So, yeah, guys, I think that was an absolute disgrace, and I thought it was something that I should at least highlight. So, yeah, guys, let's get to it anyway. As I said, the buyers are imminent, and the buyers that are potentially going to buy the club are called the Football Ventures Consortium. Apparently, the buyers are wanting to buy both the club and the hotel, because for those of you that are not aware of Bolton's ground, there is a hotel built on one side of the stadium. So, yeah, if they don't buy both, then obviously the hotel still will need a buyer. But hopefully they will buy both, and that will at least stabilise the club and the hotel's future. Not that I'm personally that bothered about the hotel, but obviously it is built into the ground. If it was built separately, I wouldn't bother one bit, but it's not. It's actually built into the ground, so it is something that needs to be sorted for the best interests of the club. Now we get to the player situation. Bolton have been left with 7 senior players, guys. 7. And 2 of them players are goalkeepers. So basically, got 2 goalkeepers and 5 outfield players. We haven't even got half a team, so obviously, players have wanted out because of the situation. And I can't blame them. I'm frustrated by how many players have literally, jumped ship as soon as we've hit troubled waters. I'm very frustrated by that, but I can't really have a go at them guys too much, because they got families to feed, bills to pay, just like all of us. So you can understand why they've actually, moved on to other clubs that are in a lot more stable position. But the players that are left, as I said, which is 7, 2 of them are wanting out as we speak, even though the club is on the verge of being taken over, and there is guarantees about wages being paid, etc., once the club is actually taken over. But 2 of these guys that are in the playing staff are wanting out anyway. And that I have no problem with. The reason I say that is because the length of time that these players have gone without wages is an absolute disgrace. They've gone, I believe it is 20 weeks without any wages. And that's not just players. That's players, coaching staff, ground staff. Anybody that is employed by Bolton Wanderers has got no wages for 20 weeks. This is just not acceptable. Not whether it's Bolton or any other club, it's just not acceptable. People have to pay bills. They have to feed their families. How can the FA sit back and allow this to happen? And then, and on top of that, all they're doing is helping players and punishing the club. So by punishing the club, who is it that suffers? Us guys as fans. We suffer. The owner's gone, the previous owner, he's gone, and the club's left with a 12-point deduction because the FA have slapped us with a 12-point deduction for going into administration. Now, I know this can happen to any club, but come on. Surely the FA can use a bit of common sense, you know what I mean? It could be a suspended 12-point deduction and give it to the club when they're in a more stable position. And I'm not just talking about Bolton. The same thing has happened to Bury Football Club. They went into administration, and I believe that they're in a bit more better position now. They've got owners, so I've read, that are about to take over or have taken over. And they had a 12-point deduction as well off the FA. And we've seen many other teams go through the same thing where they end up in administration because of bad owners. And the FA, what do? They slap the club with a 12-point deduction for the start of the season or halfway through the season, whenever it is the club goes into administration. And I'm sorry, but this is the Football Association. They're supposed to monitor the football for the best interests of the clubs, the fans, and the fan community. Not for the owners, not for the rich guys. I'm sorry, but I am absolutely fuming, guys, with the FA at the minute. They're an absolute disgrace. They couldn't, you know, they couldn't run a piss up in a brewery, let's be honest. They couldn't. They're an absolute disgrace. It's a load of fat cats that are just creaming it off, sitting there with their feet up, you know, while clubs go bankrupt, clubs go into administration, and all they can do is slap the club with a 12-point fine. They don't help. They don't help one bit. They just add to the problem. I have no problem with punishing a club for going into administration, but there's a time to do it. There's a time, you know, there's a way to do it. And slapping a 12-point deduction on a club that is in absolute meltdown is not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. They are entitled to fine the club. Not fine. You can't really fine a club that's got no finances. Well, they could. They probably would if they thought they could get away with it. But it's not of the best interest of the club, guys. Not in the best interest of the fans. And the FA are just an absolute joke. That's all I've got to say. I'm going to leave that for now for the FA because they are absolutely getting my blood boiling at the minute with some of the things that they're doing. They should. Some of these people that are running the FA should not be involved in football. Because football, as I've said in the videos previously, and as the channel is being, you know, directed, is about the fans. Without the fans, clubs are nothing. The FA's nothing. You know, the FIFA's nothing. UEFA's nothing. You don't have the fans. You don't have a fan. You don't have a UEFA. You don't have a FIFA. You don't have an FA. You don't have nothing. The fans are football, and it's about time some of these guys that are running these football associations, UEFA and FIFA, got that into their head and started making decisions for the best interests of the fans and the clubs. Not the rich owners, not the big fat cats, the fans. I'm absolutely... You know, guys, honest, this is something that really gets me going because I'm so frustrated with the people at the top of the game that are just creaming it off and sitting there for the best interests of themselves. You know, football is a community thing. That was why it was introduced. You go back to the 1800s when football clubs started to be established. That's what it was established was a community, to bring the community together to love the game. So where did the FA, you know, have they not read the history of football? Have they not looked into it? Because as far as I'm concerned, they ain't. Or they're just ignoring the history, guys. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave that for now, that point, because as I said, I could rant all day, guys, about the FA. They're an absolute disgrace. So yeah, so we've covered the 12-point deduction. Players, apparently, according to reports, if the new owners do take over the club, there is a dozen players or so that are actually lined up to come in. Now, I've absolutely no idea who these players are, where they're planning to get them from. I'm presuming most of them are going to be free transfers or loan deals. But, you know, with the state of the club, apart from the odd player that might want game time that's not getting game time, how many players are actually going to want to come to Bolton? How many players? And, because if they've got ambitions for their career, going to a club like Bolton that is in the position that they're in, and even if we end up with the new owners, we're still in a dark position because, guys, I think you guys get where I'm coming from with this. The club can be taken over by the new owners, but we're still in a dire position with only, 5 outfield players and 2 goalkeepers. And we could be losing 2 of them outfield players. So we could be left with 2 goalkeepers and 3 outfield players. You can't even play 5-a-side football with that, guys. Do you know what I mean? So it's bad. It's really bad. Now, about the coaching staff and the players, because I think we should highlight this, and the staff suffering for 20 weeks without pay. One of the positives that has come out of this, and there isn't many, but one of the positives, and we have to cover this, we have to give a shout out to these guys because they've been absolutely fantastic. And this shows that football is about the fans, because some of the smaller clubs as well have helped Bolton out. I believe that Preston sent Bolton £2,000 of food vouchers for the staff and players to help them out while they weren't getting paid, which is absolutely awesome. So a big shout out to Preston, because Preston isn't a massive club, you know what I mean, in respect of its financial clout and etc, etc. But they've gone out of their way to help a rival club. They are a rival because they're quite close to Bolton, so you could call it a derby, when Bolton and Preston do play. So they are technically a local rival, do you know what I mean? But for them to put the rivalry to one side and help Bolton out, I think is absolutely awesome. I think it's the most positive thing for me that has come out of this situation as a Bolton fan, because, we all love, as I've said in other videos, guys, we love the rivalry. But there is occasions when you have to put that rivalry to one side for the human side, for being a decent person, for being a respectable human being that shows, you love the banter, you love the rivalry, you love having the crack, but you've got a decency inside of you that can put that sort of stuff to one side at a moment when a rival fan or a rival club is in desperate need of your support. So big shout out to Preston. Also, Everton, another absolutely awesome club that has took the time to help Bolton out, have donated apparently a week's wages to Bolton staff and players to help them get through these tough times. So a massive shout out, guys, to Everton. Everton Football Club, you are absolutely brilliant, because as far as I can find from my research, you are the only Premier League club to help Bolton out during the time of need. And that is absolutely awesome. That speaks volumes about the community around Everton and the way that their club is being run with their owners. That their owners, have shown a bit of humanity towards a club in distress and a community that's up the road. And technically, even though there might be a massive difference between the clubs at the minute, technically still local rivals, so they could have completely ignored the situation, put their tinted glasses on and completely ignored it, but they didn't. They took the time to help Bolton out in their absolute direst situation. So yeah, guys, whether you think good or bad of these clubs, you have to take your hat off to them, because they have put the rivalry to one side and they have helped a community of fans, not the fans, sorry, the community of football, because obviously, without the ground staff and the players and all the staff that go with it, the coaches, everybody that works for a football club, without them guys, we can't have a football club, because we can have the fans, and we know that, as we've said, football is the fans. But we still need people that are going to do the job of looking after the pitch, looking after the stadium, looking after the players, etc, etc. So yeah, they are the two standout clubs for me in this whole crisis that have massively set, the bar way above many other clubs. Because as we know, and I'm not going to mention any names, within the Bolton area, there is a couple of absolutely ginormous clubs with finances way beyond, 20, 30, 40 other clubs combined, and they've done nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I am not going to name them clubs. They know who they are, but they've done nothing. They've sat back and all they're bothered about is themselves. And I think that speaks volumes about their owners and where their intentions lie with regards to the football community. So yeah, guys, if you come across a Preston fan or an Everton fan, you must applaud them for their club's absolute, brilliant support of a club in absolute distress. And as I've said, guys, I am a Bolton fan, but I would be feeling exactly the same if it was your club, because when a club is in the situation that Bolton are in, it's not right. It's the fans that suffer. It's all right. The big money men walk away, or they, whatever happens, they're all right because they're not in it for the love of the club. Their heart isn't in it. We see it time and time again that many of these owners, I'm not saying every owner, but many of them are not in it because their heart's in the club. Many of them are in it because their wallet's in the club, and that's what they want to improve, the size of their wallet. So yeah, guys. Also, we need to give a massive shout out to a few of the supporters groups that have actually helped Bolton as well. Now, I'm not sure to exactly what extent these supporters groups have helped Bolton, but yet again, it demonstrates the fan community coming together at a time when a club is in absolute dire straits. So yeah, a quick shout out to the fan groups. I'm not sure exactly what the fan groups' names are, but I've done the research and all I can find is that these particular clubs, that at least one or a couple of their fan groups have helped Bolton out in some way or another with food banks, whether it's food banks, finance, whatever it is, they've tried to help Bolton out in their hour of need. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to these groups, which I believe a Liverpool group have helped, an Everton group, a Leeds group, a Huddersfield group, a Blackpool group, and these are all the fan groups that have helped Bolton out in some way or another during Bolton's hour of need. And I think that's absolutely awesome, guys, because as I've said previously, we love the rivalry. I love it. When my club's obviously doing in a better situation, I absolutely love having a bit of banter with rival fans and stuff like that. It's great. It's what makes us love the game. But there is times where we need to put that rivalry to one side, and this is, a demonstration of fan decency and the community of fans coming together and being supportive of a club, whether they love it or hate it, a really tough time. Because at the end of the day, guys, just like as I said earlier, we've all got bills to pay. So all the Bolton staff have still got bills to pay. They've got children, they've got families to look after, to provide for. So I think it's absolutely awesome that we're seeing a bit of decency coming from fan groups, and also particularly from two clubs, which is Preston and Everton. So yeah, guys, if your club is ever unfortunate enough to be in this situation, which I really hope it isn't, at least that there will be fan communities and the odd club that will help you guys out in that, that hour of need. I'm absolutely honest. I'm a Bolton fan, and I would feel the same about any club. I feel so humbled to see that there is a positivity about the fan and the football community. We're seeing it as I've just explained. So yeah, guys, as I said, if you come across any of them fans from them particular groups, at least, take your glasses off, your tinted glasses, your loyalty to your club for at least, 10 seconds to just acknowledge that they have been absolutely awesome for the community of football. And then you can put your club hat back on or whatever it is, and have the banter. But yeah, guys, this is show that I feel absolutely, I'm so pleased to see that there is a positive side to the fan community and to the the football community. It's really nice to see. One last thing, guys. This is unfortunately another negative side of this situation with Bolton. I've learned by my research that apparently the admin costs at the minute are about £350,000. Now, if Bolton do get bought this week, apparently, obviously that will mean that the administrators finish their whatever it is they have to do, paperwork, etc., etc., and then they will step aside and allow the owners to take control. But what I am absolutely shocked about is that if this was to happen this week, the figure that has been released this week is the 350,000, which is what the administration costs are at this moment in time. But if there was to be bought out this week, them administration costs could rocket up to 1.5 million. Now, I'm sorry, but where the hell do you come up with that figure? It's just, yet again, as we say, greedy money men. I know the administration people have got a job to do, and I know they've got to cover their costs and even make a living out of it. But come on, £350,000 up to 1.5 million in the space of what could be a week. It's an absolute disgrace. It yet again shows that the wrong people are in control of football clubs. And unfortunately, guys, it's something we live with these days as a football fan. But hopefully, guys, maybe in the future with fans coming together more, whether it's on my platform as a fan channel or other platforms of fan channels, because obviously that's the best way to go about it. We might be able to stand up to it a bit more and maybe at least give ourselves a voice going forward to stand up to some of these rich people that are in it for themselves. I have nothing against people being successful and making plenty of money to better themselves and their families, but not at the cost of the football community. It's an absolute disgrace, guys. But yeah, thought that was the last thing, guys, to highlight. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, and as I said, even if this wasn't my club that I love and that is dear to my heart, if it was your club, I would be highlighting it, guys. I would be looking to make a video about it, because the channel is about the fans, because football is the fans. Okay, guys, take care. Hope you guys have an absolutely awesome day, and hopefully you'll join me on the next episode. Take care for now. Goodbye.